Hi everyone, welcome back for another episode. If this is your first time tuning in, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. And if you enjoy the video at the end, go ahead and give it a thumbs up too. That helps during the YouTube algorithm, help it show up there. So the other day during a comment, I realized that there's some people out there that don't actually know how to remove the loader from their Coyote tractor. There's people out there that have never done it. There's people out there who probably never even think about a reason why you would need to. But in my application right here, I do use this to mow my lawn with. Our open yard here is 2.5, almost 3 acres, and I've got the 72-inch finish mower for it to mow with. And when you're mowing the lawn, sometimes you're doing brush hogging. Although I got an exception for brush hogging. Sometimes it's convenient to have the loader on when you're trying to get around stuff, like when I'm trying to maneuver around the house or the back of the garage here or some trees or whatever. Actually, off to the side, we've kind of got a wood line that, when you're trying to cut the edge of the grass, sometimes it's easier to have the loader off so the bucket is not going and swinging into trees and such, right? So there's plenty of applications why I'd like to take the loader off. I said during brush hogging, sometimes I like to keep it on because you keep it low enough. It actually helps you find hidden obstacles like rocks and stumps that may be buried in whatever you're trying to brush hog. So I like to keep it on for that. But for mowing the lawn, I like to take it off. So I figured I would walk through today on how to remove the loader and how to put it back on. All right, so I'm going to try to do as much of this with the tractor off as possible just so it's easier to hear audio-wise and stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and start with the bucket off the ground, about a foot or so, and then you're going to put your park legs out. So to do that, you pull up on this spring-loaded foot. It's slotted so that the bolt actually engages on these tabs to lock it up in place. And then you'll notice down here that there are different positions. I have never found an application yet where I need anything but the center position. So I use the center hole for both the feet, and so we'll go put the other one down now in the same spot. Okay, so now we're up on the tractor. I've got the tractor running. I'm going to go ahead and put the bucket and the whole loader down until the loader arms touch the ground. And if you're sitting on the tractor, you'll notice when you've achieved that, you can actually see the weight come off the loader. Yeah, let me try the camera right there. So if you watch, when you see your loader, the orange, move separately from the frame, that's when you know you've started to take the weight off the loader. See that? See how it just moved right there? And the reason that's important is because we need to remove these pins. If you've got a lot of weight on the loader, it actually is going to make removing the pins really difficult. So now that is, see, the loader sprung forward to touch there because there's still a little bit of pressure on it. And sometimes your loader may not be perfectly square. I find on this one, I've actually tried to loosen up the bounce on the frame and try to square it up a touch better. But sometimes I find where one side's locked in a little harder than the other. But go around, now our pins are out. Okay, so now that our pins are out, now the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the loader back. I'm going to rock the loader forward, but I'm going to pull to the left on the loader's joystick as if you were rolling back the bucket. And that's going to get the loader up and out of its mount. See that? The loader now is up and off its mount down here, which is where the loader actually sits, and our pins are out of the way. So now that we're at this step, I go ahead and I put my pins back in so they don't get lost. All right, so now all our pins are back in, right? So now at this point, it's time to disconnect the hydraulic hoses. Before you do that, I always jiggle the joystick. The loader kind of settled a little bit there. That's going to take all the pressure off our hoses. See how the connectors move now? freely with no resistance. Now that that's done, now we're ready to remove our hoses. Okay, and so to remove the hoses, it's simply pull down on the collar. Sometimes I find it's a little easier if you push down down this way on your male side of the hose, but pull back on the collar, and then go ahead and put your covers back in place so that while you're out mowing or doing whatever it is you're doing, you don't pack these full of dirt and dust. They do have O-rings down in them that can get damaged over time. So now those are covered, and then I just simply take the hoses and droop them over the loader so they're up out of the way. Okay, now we're back up on the machine here, and this is the most delicate part of the whole operation. There's not a ton of clearance between your hood and the loader. So when you're backing up, you want to make sure you back up nice and straight, and that you don't drag the loader across the side of your hood. That would be an expensive insurance claim, damaging that hood. All right, so to reinstall the loader, it's a pretty similar process. Again, we're going to be careful as we drive up in between the loader frame. And once we get pretty close to centered, we're going to look down next to our mounts. Our mounts actually have this tapered spot on both sides to help guide the loader arms into position. So we are going to watch that on both sides. And now that we're driven in, we're going to drive in until it touches. And now I'm going to set the brake. Shut our tractor back on so you don't hear those rattling around in there as it's idling. So now we're going to go ahead and reinstall our hydraulic hoses. You don't have to shut the tractor off when you're reinstalling them, but to get the pressure off from them when you are removing them, at that point, that's when you have to turn the tractor off so you can bleed all your hydraulic pressure off. But again, shut it off just so for audio's sake, it's a little easier for everybody here. Go ahead and put this back on a tripod. And then we just match up our hose colors, right? So red to red, yellow to yellow. I like to do the backs first just because they're the most difficult to access. Green. Again, pull the collar down, push our male hose in, and let it out. You may lose just a slight bit of hydraulic oil, but a little bit over time isn't much of an issue. Okay, so now that we have our hoses reinstalled, we're going to remove our pins again. That way the loader can fall into place. We're going to fire the machine back up. And now when you move your loader arm, you're going to want to use it in the dump position. So it's dropped down in place on the lower cradle there, as well as up here you can see where the pins go as they're going into place. And then I'm going to move the loader down to get those in place. Now, you notice right here, now we've taken the weight off the front tires, right? I generally find that that's too far. Back to what I said before about moving the loader around until it's kind of relaxed to get the pins out. Kind of the same idea to get them in place. See right there, the loader is starting to move freely from our mounts. That's when I find you're going to want to, or have the best luck to get these in. So again, you look in here, everything's lined up, and your pins should go right into place. A little bit of effort. I got roasted in one of my videos for kicking them into place, which I didn't see the harm in that. I guess I could have beat on them with a metal hammer and actually cleaned the end over, but a couple of fans didn't enjoy that. Now this side, I don't have my finger in here. You know, somebody's going to freak out, the safety police. They're going to say, oh, that could shear your finger off, and you're probably correct. But the inner is not quite lined up with the outer. So we're just going to move the loader around a little bit. So we're a little closer to lined up. And same thing. Like I said, they will go into place. Sometimes I find if you reach up and give them just a little kick with your heel, it helps But now that our pins are reinstalled, I'm just going to reach over, lift our loader back up, shut the machine off again so it's easier here, and then we simply take some weight off the feet, lift our leg back up into place, and then remember we need to move our spring-loaded foot up so they latch into place. Do that on both sides, and that's it. That's all there is to. So there you have it, everyone. Short, simple video on removing and installing the loader on your CK Series Coyote. Now, a couple things before we end. The CK is the only model I've ever owned. However, the CK, the DK, the CX, they all use pretty similar style loader mounts, and even some of the Kubotas use kind of the similar pin style. So, you know, even though this, again, like I said, is on a CK 2610, the application should fit quite a wide variety of tractors. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and if it was, you know, like I said, go ahead, give that video a thumbs up. If it you got a couple friends or something you could share it to, that'd be awesome too. And like I said, and some of the other videos, if there's other stuff you'd like to see that can help you out with your tractor, let me know and I'll try to share a video of it. Thanks again.